yeah. Anyway, yeah. Um, yeah. Even I have done the prayer for all kind of people, from the youngest one, few days old, up to almost 100-year old. I could have some kind of feeling where they were, but somehow, unless I have psychic power, I would know for sure where they heading to. Up to now, we still unknown
Mm.
until we face them. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, you concerned about that? You afraid of that? Or what do you think?
Um, I think there's there's some degree of doubt in my mind. There's definitely some doubt in my mind about, like, I mean, the Lotus Sutra is really comforting with respect to that. A lot of the sutras are very comforting, where, if you do this, you'll never fall into the three lower paths. So I mean, I have a sense of faith, but there's part of me that considers all possible explanations, and so there's like a sliver of it. Um, I'm not on the verge of death. I don't find and I don't find myself thinking about it with like a lot of fear, but occasionally I think I think more about old age
Mm-hmm.
and the decline that happens with old age. I think that holds more of a like a charge for me than once death happens. I feel like there's a little bit of excitement about death.
Mm-hmm.
Like, kind of like, you're gonna go on a water slide in a park and you don't really know what's gonna happen. Like, it's a little scary, but it's probably gonna be a wild ride. Like, that's kind of how I feel about it. Um, and I don't feel like I've done that much good. Because I do my work as a doctor, but I get paid. I don't really feel like I've done that much that's selfless. But I'm just hopeful that that it's okay, and that I can try to maintain a compassionate mind during the transition. I have that strong sense that there's a sort of like mathematical effect of a compassionate mind, that situations where if we respond with compassion in that in between state, it's going to lead to a better outcome. I think it's really functional for us personally to cultivate it for that reason too. But yeah.
Uh, I just got an email from one of my friends who is old professor at my school, and I used to go to his office to do meditation with him. But somehow there was a gap, at least 3 or 4 years, right before the COVID-19. Even before I have the center on the, I mean the big in the new center now. So he just got back to me and he said that he retired already, but somehow have problem with his health, and he recognized that deterioration that deal with component of life, and he has to deal with that. Yeah. Anyway, so according to Tibetan tradition, especially Dalai Lama, he said that he need to contemplate about the death at least 8 times per day, so that when death come, with no stranger, there's no strange.
Mhm.
If we anticipate something coming, and if we ready, much easier for us to deal instead of ignore them. Right? Mm.
What do you think about these experiences? I've never done this. I know people who have. There's a molecule that's like present in all living things. It's in plants, and in some plants, it's in really high concentration.
Mm-hmm.
We are able to produce it in our nervous system. The pineal gland, I think, is where it's produced, and we have enzymes to break it down. Um, and our best sense of it is that it is released during birth and death, this substance. And one of the theories about near death experiences is that this is the molecule responsible for, you could say, one person may say it's responsible for the hallucinations, or it's responsible for sort of opening that gateway, that portal to this other aspect of reality.
Hmm.
So people will take this substance concentrated. It can be concentrated from all sorts of plants. There's a guy in town that came to me as a patient. He concentrates it from magnolia bark, and he goes and he does this for people for free. He'll go to their house and like be there for them for this sort of experience. And people inhale it. It's heated and inhaled as a vapor, and then they feel like they're being shot through the cosmos at like warp speed. And most people, if they have enough of it, they experience their own death.
Really?
They're totally convinced that they died, even though going into it, they know that's going to happen. Everybody still gets totally convinced that they messed up, they did something wrong, they made the wrong choice, and they died because of this experience. And it's like the people I've had describe it to me kind of describe it like the Buddha says death feels like the tortoise being separated from its shell, um, like it being extremely painful, but also liberating in a certain sense. And then there's these common experiences people have, like people will see the same sort of things. They'll go to the same sort of places. They'll kind of report similar phenomena.
Hmm.
And, you know, in Buddhism, right, there's a role for medicines, and there's a very clear prohibition against intoxicants. And then that line between intoxicants and medicines is about like how clearly someone sees, like what's someone's wisdom, can they really distinguish?
Mm-hmm.
But it would seem that this sort of experience of like being convinced of one's death, accepting it, facing it, could potentially be medicinal therapeutic. And there's some research that supports that, but very little. And of the people I've known who've done it, they report like positive outcomes in their sort of in their view with respect to
Hmm.
like things that were causing them to suffer more, like being able to let go of some of that stuff. So I'm just curious if you'd ever heard of that or if you had any thoughts about it. I don't think you'd ever recommend anyone do it, but just
First time ever heard. So you say that some kind of herbs, American herbs or what?
yeah, it can be purified from a ton of different plants.
Mhm.
It's in all plants. All plants have this molecule, but only some plants have enough of it to make it practical to purify it from.
Hmm.
So there's like grasses that have it. There's just like little shrubs that have it. There are trees that have it in their bark, and it's a molecule that's in the class called tryptamines. It's the same sort of class as serotonin, one of our neurotransmitters. Yeah, and so they'll purify it and then vaporize and inhale it. There have been a research study done by like a legitimate professor, done in a hospital with using IV injections of it.
Mhm.
And those experiences are actually up on YouTube. Uh, at least one of the people who was in those studies, he posted it on YouTube.
Mhm. Do you have that link? Articles can so email to me. You don't need
Yeah,
to
I
do
can.
now. You don't need to do now. Get
Okay.
after this. Yeah, later
Yeah, I'll
on.
send it to you.
Wow, this is so you say that when the patient went around and gave people that test.
Yeah, yeah, he has a little vaporizer. He purifies the stuff himself from magnolia bark, and he does it for free for people as a sort of service.
Really?
Yeah, he
It's for
just
fun?
because he's
It's for
seen it
fun?
not for fun. So like the experience, I don't think I've never heard anyone describe it as fun, because it's so incredibly intense. Uh, and it only lasts about 2 minutes,
Oh, really?
but
Wow.
it feels like 1,000 years, people say.
Really?
They
Wow.
literally they come back and they've like lived this like 10 human lifespans. And all of the things that happened is like so much they can't really even explain it all, but they remember some like aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm. Wow. So is that legal?
No, it's not legal.
Hmm.
You're not allowed to purify DMT in the United States.
Really?
Yeah. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting that it's illegal because it's in all living things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
So
like
if
all the animals, all plants have the DMT molecule.
Mhm. So if
Yeah.
it's illegal, is how could he provide that for other people? If something happened, they may sue him then.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He does it secretly and at his risk.
Ah, okay.
And no, he doesn't accept payment.
Mm. Okay. So probably that is one of the reason why he could go out to do, right? Otherwise, if he get the payment, he get the money, that can land him to the jail, right?
Yeah, he's probably safer not taking payment for legal reasons. Yeah, I agree.
Mm. Wow. Anyway, so go back then. Go back to our discussion again. So yeah. So what do you think for them, the ghost and the spirit, they have more confused thought than us? What do you think in this passage?
I think they do. Generally, we talk about ghosts are beings that have strong attachments to something that they possessed when they were alive,
Mhm.
and they just can't see through that attachment, and so they hold on. Um,
Or they distinguish between real or illusion is so blurry, right? No, that's why they confuse. That's why they stay in that state of mind, like while we are dreaming, right? In our
yeah,
dream, most of the time we thought that they are real until we wake up. So probably that's why
yeah,
that's the explanation, right? Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Please. Next one.
Because of the turning wheel of dull dispositions in objective samsara, as a result of inversion caused by subjective stupid minds, both subject and object cling to intractableness and combine to produce favorable conditions for 84,000 confusing, lifeless thoughts for rebirth as spirits dwelling in earth, trees, metals, and stones. They are thoughtless beings that are found in plenty all over the world. These are thoughtless beings
Wow.
because of yeah, these translations, it's obviously it's kind of a complex idea they're bringing out, the intractableness. They both subject and object cling to intractable. So like intractable, we talk about it in an intractable disease. So something that can't be changed. So they cling to intractableness, something that can't be changed or healed.
Mm. Mm.
So,
So.
yeah, I guess because they're dull, right? They're dull and they're stupid and they don't really exercise much conscious thought.
Mm.
Um, and so they're and then they're kind of clinging to that state of not exercising conscious thought. That's kind of what it's the closest I could understand it. And that would make sense if they practice not engaging in thoughtfulness, then yeah, they would be likely to be reborn as beings that have much, don't have thinking.
But here, he has life, right?
Yeah.
He can listen to our word, right? Right. The way we treat them, right?
It's I think we see, yeah, I think they respond to things that we do. I think there may even be responses to words. I think
Mm.
so.
But how about metal and stone? Especially nowadays in modern age, how could we explain to people, oh, the stone or metal have some kind of spirit there? How could they believe them?
Well, and this is something I'm wondering about here because I personally am fascinated by the plant world And I very much wonder the spiritual level causes of these plants, because we have medicinal plants that help cure diseases that we have, problems we have, there are plants to address it. So it seems to me like a lot of plants are like bodhisattvas. But in general, my understanding is that not all of them are invested with spirits, like of the like earth, trees, metal, and stones. But maybe I'm mistaken. Like it's maybe they're just I'm thinking maybe some metals have a consciousness from like a reincarnated person that dwells in there, because the metal is like its structure is a suitable framework for the consciousness to dwell. Like it matches that sort of consciousness. But then maybe not all metals have spirits in it. I don't know. Do you know?
Like the magnet, right?
Mm.
Like the magnet that attract the opposed side. Anyway, so yeah, definitely for trees, for plants, yeah, we can recognize that there's some kind of life there. But when we talk about the stone, yeah, people can use some kind of stone as the healing techniques, right? They put the stone. I mean, there's some have special stone can absorb the heat, can absorb the cold, and so forth, right?
Mhm.
Uh, and one way, mm, if we talk in the modern way of explanation, yes, the stone, metal, even the plant, they have some kind of molecules, some kind of uh, mm, uh, frequency, right? So that's why it's easy for us to have them that way instead of say, oh, yeah, of course, for the Buddha, his wisdom is so vast, so we cannot deny that. So he say, those kind of spirit uh, dwell in the plant, dwell in the stone, dwell in the metal. Yeah, that we, for us as Buddhists, no problem to understand that. But for the average American people or non-Buddhists, they will shake their head. There's no way for them to believe. You know.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right. So let us end today. Let's stop today. So, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Yeah. So hey, let's stop.